We gonna check this out. You dig what I'm saying?
Welcome back to the comment section. I'm Brett Cooper. So for the last few days, my For You page on TikTok has been flooded with these videos of mass amounts of men infiltrating a women and non-binary job fair job conference. And the videos are showing that these men are basically outnumbering the women and are cutting them in line and joining, the symposiums and the interviews that they're doing. And you might ask, how did these men get in? Well, they registered as non-binary. Today we're going to dive into all the details of this, but before we do, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to this channel if you have not already, and ring that notification bell so that you never miss a comment section or off the clock episode. All right, so let's watch the first video that I saw on this whole thing, because the entire story, guys, buckle up. It's hysterical. All right, here we go.
This women's job fair completely failed. A tech conference dedicated to women and non-binary tech enthusiasts is sparking a huge controversy. This annual event in Orlando, which is traditionally meant for female tech talent, had a swarm of men this year, trying to line up job opportunities. A lot of the men blatantly falsified their gender, claiming to be
Yo, they are trolling, bro. Like, these type of things that's so silly. And however it is, it just leaves room for trolls to just troll at their, like, you give people ammo to troll at their finest.
binary
How many
to gain
there are.
access to the event, and a lot of women were not happy, with many women feeling that the opportunities at this event were taken away, with some people even getting in physical altercations. The organizers of the event said they acknowledge the importance of male allyship, but the blatant misuse of the platform has left a bitter taste.
So this is the first
Hey man, these dudes need their opportunity just like the women do, bro. That's all it is. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you gotta do what it takes in order to get to where you gotta get to. That's all they're saying. Sometimes you gotta, if they basically saying if they gotta become non-binary and if they have to make that commitment to become non-binary to get some opportunity, to them it was worth the sacrifice. I guess life's about sacrifices in so many different ways. Look, man, this is for comedic purposes. I'm just joking, but I'm assuming. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just assuming.
I saw, I obviously saved it, liked it, and then after that, I started getting perspectives from everybody, like all these girls. What are all these men doing here? These guys laughing. First question that I really don't answer in this episode, but I would love to know. So if any of the guys who are watching this video participated in this, or you know somebody, how did you organize it? Because that is incredible. How did you all decide to show up? Was this just like in your own mind? You're like, oh, I should, go, and then everybody, was it on?
It's something called the internet, and also too, when you're in college, you got nothing else to do. Like, it's a whole bunch of dudes. Y'all ain't got nothing else to do. Y'all ain't got no jobs. Y'all sitting there singing. Y'all around each other all day. It's easier to organize when you're in college because you ain't got nothing but free time, and you're around everybody that's your same age, and you're around a whole bunch of dudes and females, but you're around a bunch of dudes as well.
On Reddit? Was it a group chat? Is it from one school? Like, the way that you were able to put this together is incredible. I think it would have taken women like 2 years to figure out if they were actually going to show up, what time, what everybody was wearing, if it was actually going to happen.
What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want?
The speed with which men do things like this is incredible. Somebody commented and said, well, how the turntables. Another person said, when a girl identifies as non-binary, it's all right. But when men identify as non-binary, it's unfair. What happened now, girls? Huh? You jealous? It's too good. Like, I'm sorry. It's fantastic. And who would have thought that this would have backfired? It's crazy. It's almost like we've been talking about this for the last few years. Now, this event was called the Grace Hopper Celebration 2023, and it's put on by Anita B, which is an organization with the goal to connect, inspire, and advance women and non-binary technologists. And Anita B was founded back in 1997 by two women who wanted to advance female representation in the world of technology. Now, thinking back to 1997, in the 90s, that sounds wonderful and probably actually needed because tech has historically been a male-dominated industry. But it appears that in the last few years, they have updated their mission to be more inclusive, to be with the times, which has in turn caused a situation like this to...
It should be all merit-based. Like, if we're talking about anything when it comes to a job, everything should be based on skill. Not based on the color of somebody's skin, not based on if they're a woman or a man. It should be based purely on someone's aptitude or their ability to be competent in something, basically. Let's just say competence. Your ability to actually successfully carry out whatever task it needs, whatever that job requires. And the better you are at it, you should be hired based upon that. And for example, me as a business person, right? I only like calling myself a business person because I don't have some major Fortune 500 company or anything like that. But as me, who was a business-minded person, if I had a business, I would not care, my nigga, if somebody was this or that. Are they good at what they do? Are they competent? Are they smart? Are they able to successfully carry out the tasks necessary for their job description at a higher level than their male or female counterparts? I don't care, because at the end of the day, the more competent they are at their job, the more money I'm going to make as a business, because you're going to make the process of my business operating and running more efficient. That's how I look at it.
To unfold. And of course, the men brilliantly hacking this loophole triggered all the feminists. One person said, wow, men inserting themselves where they don't belong, who knew that would happen? Another person said, proof that men will go out of their way to ruin things. Okay, clearly, the women are pissed. Again, who is surprised? Shocker, shocker. And frankly, I find all of this hilarious. Now, here's the thing. You guys have heard me talk about this before, but I fully agree that there should be gendered spaces in the world. Not everything needs to be one whole group. I am against men infiltrating women's spaces, like in sports or in bathrooms, but in the case of these job fairs, you're giving one gender an unfair advantage over the other. A leg up that, I'm sorry, really isn't needed anymore. Women are now outpacing men in terms of getting their college degrees. Their presence in STEM is rapidly increasing because there have been initiatives like the Grace Hopper Celebration and Anita B that is, uplifting women in STEM for 20 years now. And on top of that, women are already given incredible advantages in the hiring process due to diversity needs and people being able to pat themselves on the back because, they hired a woman for the role. Ooh, those are the posts that you see on LinkedIn. They have an advantage. And imagine if there was a male alternative to this. A male empowerment tech conference. Women would lose their freaking minds because it's not needed. And shut up. I'm sorry. Be quiet.
Be quiet!
Now, this equality that the event organizers were trying to implement could not be more opposite. Thankfully, a lot of the men pointed out this hypocrisy. Like one guy, Tyler, said, equality for all, there shouldn't be any gender-specific job fairs or conferences. And another person said, and now imagine a conference called Men in Engineering, and imagine the scream from feminists.
That's facts, bro. That is facts. She makes a good point for something like sports, where there are clearly physical differences between a man and a woman competitively. It would make more sense to let the men play with the men and the women play with the women. But when it comes to cognitively, we know that men and women are pretty much on the same playing field intellectually. So it should just be based on skill. You shouldn't give women more opportunities than men, because women are just as competent as men intellectually to do whatever men do. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand why they have to have these female empowerment things for the women when there's no point in it. Just get good at what you do and you'll get hired. It should be like that. I just don't see why a company would not hire somebody because she's a woman. If she's good at what she does and she's going to help the company become more efficient, she should get hired if she's really that good.
And if you still don't think that this is textbook discrimination, just listen to this video from one of the event organizers literally telling the men to leave and that they are not welcome here.
This is supposed to be a joyous event that centers around you.
A joyous event that I, a white male, am organizing for the ladies. Why are you running this?
Yeah, why is a man speaking on behalf of the women? Bro, you're a man too, bro. You know what I'm saying? It is kind of funny.
It's a female event. A joyous event that the men have ruined. That's the message that they're sending. Anyway, keeping going.
That there are a far greater number of cisgender men attending than we anticipated. Simply put, some of you lied about your gender identity when you registered. And as evidenced by the stacks and stacks of resumes you're passing out, you did so because you thought that you could come here and take space to try to get a job.
This whole thing, it's so incredible, guys. It's not, but this is the culmination of all of the BS that we have been watching for the last 5 years. And now this guy saying you identified incorrectly. I thought that was bigotry, but now you're allowed to, the whole thing. It's so good. There are so many arguments that you can make about this.
We need male allies. We need men who want to celebrate women, who want to work with and for women.
What do you think these men are doing? They showed up to a female conference. I think they like women. I think they want to be around women and work with women. They're literally at a female conference. He's like, yes, I am a feminist.
And so we welcome men in this space, but to learn and support and improve. Unfortunately, some of you took discounted academic tickets from women who need them.
It'd be crazy if they all got expelled for that. You know what I'm saying? Because there could be some type of repercussions for their actions. It would be so crazy if they got expelled for essentially doing that. And there's really no way to prove if they were trolling or not unless somebody, like, they line them all up and they ask them and they interrogate them, and then a couple of them confess that it was some type of organized effort to troll the event and to just be aggravating to the women and to disrupt the very organized event that they had going on. But other than that, you ain't gonna really know, like, why they did that. You can just assume. So I hope they don't get in trouble for it because it's really funny.
Some of you are taking interview slots right now while this plenary is going on for women who need them. Some of you are standing in line to talk to recruiters instead of letting women speak.
Yes, you must roll over for women 24/7. Does not matter if women have more advantages in the hiring processes due to simply being a woman. You need to roll over because you standing in line in front of her, it's ruining.
I mean, but to be fair, they are being aggravating it. They are at a whole woman's event trolling. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's call it out for what it is. Like, it's funny. It is funny. Like, let's keep it a stack. It's funny, but they're trolling women at an event. That's they need to get out. Like, I'm just being real. Like, they need to get out now, unless they really want to legally identify as non-binary, for sure. Then they need to get out. You see what I'm saying? Like, I actually don't care. It's actually kind of funny.
Career. Frick is this?
All of those are limited resources to which you have no right.
You have no right. What do you?
We have no right.
So let me be perfectly clear. Stop. Right now.
Stop it.
Stop.
You're like a Parks and Rec skit.
I regret nothing. The end.
You cannot make this up. Like when he said, you have no right. You have no right. Like, what do you mean? That men have no right to also seek jobs that are open for both men and women? They don't have a right to stand in line and be interviewed by people who are interviewing both men and women for a job? It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, they have no right to self-identify and show up per the inclusive rules that you implemented? Make it make sense. Now, that tweet has over 1.5 million views. It was actually posted by Anita B themselves. Clearly, they thought that was a snap, girl, boss, male, feminist icon moment, but people in the comments were not thrilled, did not go the way that they thought it would. Somebody commented and said, it's almost like non-binary is a made-up thing, and you guys have put yourselves in a corner where you can't enforce it without assuming somebody's gender. Almost. Somebody else said, so you're judging these male-presenting non-binary applicants because they don't seem to be non-binary? Wow, phobic much? I know where that person stands. Also, again, like...
That's a good point. I mean, yeah, like I said earlier, there's no way to prove if they're truly non-binary or not. There's no way to prove that if they truly were trolling or not. You know what I'm saying? You could just assume, and it's obvious, if anybody could just use their brain, it's obvious that all those guys are just trolling. You know what I'm saying? But you can't really, if you wanted to pursue, like, basically, if you wanted them to face repercussions for their actions, you would actually need evidence in order to know if they were really trolling or not. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just look at what it obviously looks like and then say, you just charge it to the game or charge it to them like, you were trolling, so you need to get expelled from school or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way to tell, so you can't just, do that because you need evidence to really truly prove. Because it could, in fact, as crazy as it sounds, it could have, in fact, been like a real deal event. Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, a real deal, like, organized thing of a whole bunch of non-binary dudes who identify as non-binary, and they have that in common with each other, and they wanted opportunities just like the women. It could have been that. You won't know until you really, like, try to figure it out for real. You can't just assume. But, we all know what it is.
Like, who is this guy on stage to assume who these men identify as? The conference was open. You had to self-identify. You don't like that the rules you set out were exploited. Not even exploited. They got into the conference. Of course, though, under this, there were people that were actually angered by this whole situation. We're calling out the sponsor and Anita B. One person said, beyond calling them out, what other steps are you taking to ensure that the women and non-binary people actually get the resources during the celebration this year? They are still all over the career fair, taking up huge chunks of lines. And then Anita B responded to this person and said, thank you for asking. Our first step towards creating a plan for change is to listen. Listen. And we're in the process of developing a collaborative avenue for GHC attendees to share more so that we can do just that. Throughout this process, we will be transparent. Like, who needs comedy anymore, guys? We're literally living in it. This is a sitcom. But anyway, guys, do not worry. They're going to listen.
Linda, listen, Linda.
They're going to listen and learn. Crazy how it works. So when you open up an event to more than just women, you are going to get more than just women attendees. You caused the situation yourself. You're not taking any accountability, because then that would make you look like a bigot. Revolutionary consequences, I know. Now, the staff at Anita B has gone even further. Here's a part of another video that they posted to save themselves of this self-inflicted PR nightmare.
This makes me angry, and it makes me sad, but mostly it makes me want to fight. We're not fighting simply because of the concerns you express, but because that's our mission. Our mission is to uplift and celebrate women and non-binary technologists. This week, we hope to do just this. We prepared and we did our best, but it was not enough. I can't guarantee to you that we'll have solutions tomorrow, but I can promise you that we'll be working on solutions and we won't do it in a bubble.
This is so unserious. Look, why are we going to this extent to fix this problem that you literally caused? We know the reason why this happened. We know the logical, literal reasons based on your policies and your attendees and who can apply. We know the reasons because of society and culture. We have all of it. I don't know why you're freaking out. It truly is incredibly unserious.
We've heard your recommendations, and many of them are great. And we'll make sure that we're holding ourselves to the truth of our mission. Anita B has always stepped up to the challenge, and I promised you that we're ready to step up to this new challenge.
To exclude men, that is the new challenge. Welcome to the 21st century.
And we'll do so in community.
She's like saying the most appropriate political answer she possibly could say, because like whenever like people like representatives for a company get up and they like get to explaining, you know, like on behalf of the company, they're the ambassador, so they explain it. They're doing like a formal apology, or they're explaining what their intentions were. I never really believe it, because I know that they are a company and all they care about is their bottom line. So they're saying the politically correct things where they don't offend one group of people, but at the same time trying to really trying to protect their dollar. That's all they're really trying to do is protect their money.
I want to thank you all for speaking up, for listening, and I really hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you all. Bye.
Bye. Please don't cancel us. Please don't.
See, that's exactly what I was thinking. Please don't do it. Please don't cancel us, because all they care about is their money. That's all they care about. These businesses.
There's only one way to fix this problem. Now, maybe you could just invite women. Literally, just make this a gendered space once again. Like, I don't think that women really need it, but I'm not against it. Like, I used to do like women's leadership conferences when I was in high school. I really loved them because I got to make great friends. I got to meet new women. It's really not that big of a deal. It's a fun activity. Now, I was not the only person thinking this. Somebody said this comes up all the time because organizations use women and non-binary to mean women, including special pronoun women. They don't want special pronoun men to show up, but they can't actually say that, so the men storm through the loophole. And of course, the men brilliantly hacking this loophole triggered the feminists. And I think that this is the only kind of hacking that I like, which is why I use ExpressVPN. Guys, have you ever read the fine
Oh my
print
gosh.
that
She segued that sponsorship so smooth. And I knew I could feel it. It's like I had like a extra sense. Like I could sense it about to come in, like the way she was, you know what I mean?
when you start browsing in incognito mode, it says isn't actually use house. Through easy browsing, scroll it encrypts at one button, made your free month. Internet service providers insert themselves where they do not belong. Flash Cooper. Stop letting your internet service providers insert themselves where they do not belong. Kind of like what the feminists think these men were doing, like this person. I appreciate the effort to include non-binary people like me, but I don't see any cogent reason why we need to be lumped together with women. I totally support having a separate event for non-binary people where we can highlight our unique issues and let women have priority for the rest. Yeah.
No, that's stupid, because they all getting hired at the same jobs. Actually, if there was like an all women's job and an all men's job, if they're all getting hired at the same jobs, and that's not smart. There should be no, event for just women, or event for just men, or event for just, in my opinion, for just black people, or just Indians, or just Hispanics. Like, if you're all getting hired at the same jobs, it should be for everybody. You know what I'm saying? That's just what I think. Or create your own company if you feel like they're unfair. Create your own companies.
Yes, and if we are doing this, let men have their own space away from these people as well. And don't lose your mind when there is a male-only conference that you are not invited to. Like, if we really want gendered spaces, create them and make them exclusive. because that is what makes them a gendered space. Another person commented and said, surely you must realize that creating spaces for women and non-binary technologists is exactly the problem, right?
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
That sentence is absolutely no different from creating spaces for men and women technologists, which of course defeats your entire reason for that purpose. They lost their whole mission when they started including non-binary people. I'm sorry, but the reason why the organization was created in 1997 was not to include everyone, but it was just to support and uplift women. They've totally lost that. You simply cannot create a space for women if you allow a man-sized loophole for any man who wants in. Because as you saw recently, the men will come in. The only solution is the obvious one that society already has in place, as is the direct result of female activists demanding those female-only spaces. And guys, the comment sections under all of these videos and all of these posts have just been hilarious, and I have one interaction that I want to read. I personally think Matt Walsh would love this one, but it just demonstrates how ridiculous this entire thing is. Like, we've caused this problem ourselves by the confusion. One person said, men need to stay out of women's spaces. Another person said, what is a man? What is a woman? And then somebody else responded, women need to stay out of men's. And then another person said, how do you know these are men? And another person said, they weren't men, they were non-binary. Another person said, you are assuming their gender.
Facts.
You're not even supposed to make sense of this world anymore. Now, finally, last point I want to make. In doing all this research, I found something that shocked me, and I think Anita B would like to hide. Men are technically allowed at their conferences.
That is brand new information.
Their entire thing has been to uplift women and create a space for women, but men are not excluded from their conferences. This is from the New York Post. While cisgendered men are not prohibited from attending the event, as they have done so in previous years, Anita B, the company that organized the seminar, said that men came out in higher numbers this year by skirting the rules. So men have always showed up. Men have always been there. They're not prohibited. So why the PR nightmare? Why the mess? Why don't you just come out and admit that you were never actually exclusive, and that by widening it and trying to make it inclusive, you just made the problem worse for your alleged mission? But of course, then they would have to admit that they didn't actually care about the mission in the first place. I guess. I have no idea. The entire situation is just ridiculous. It gives me a headache, and they themselves have caused all of it. But like I said, they don't want to admit that. No, in fact, Anita B, so virtuous, so amazing, they said that in order to fix this, they are launching a full-scale investigation into what is going on and how this happened. They're going to work to make sure that it does not happen again. I told you I have the answer. You made it happen. You do not need to investigate it. I can tell you right now. Now, the top of their to-do list for next year to make sure this doesn't happen, quote, evaluate and improve event registration and badging to protect the integrity of our carefully curated opportunities. And to that, I ask how.
The only way that you're going to stop that from happening again, prevent that from happening again, is laws are going to have to be changed. You know, if you're not truly a non-binary person, then there are some repercussions you have to face for just trolling, basically. That's the only thing that's going to make people actually not really do that, you know? But until those laws are created, I'm not even suggesting that those laws be created, but people don't really take things seriously until there is some type of, until like there's some type of repercussions for your actions if you do certain things. And it's a joke to people. It's obviously a joke to people. So it's the only thing that's going to make sense. It's going to prevent people from actually just trolling the way they did, and especially in those large numbers.
How will you evaluate who you can register and who you can't? Because by your own logic, you will never be able to enforce this environment that you wish to see. And to me, that is just the funniest part. So good luck to this program, and I hope to see many more men seeking equity at next year's job fair.
Great video. That was a really good video.